If you're an entrepreneur or a professional looking to start, scale, or even automate an Airbnb business, then this video is going to be for you. My name is Investor Mike. I've been in the space of Airbnbs for about 8 years now, taught students all over the world, and this is my passion. I basically breathe, sleep, and eat Airbnbs, if you could do that. And so in this video, I think the first thing, if you're looking to get started Airbnb business, I think there's a lot of social media out there. There's TikToks and YouTube and Instagrams and Facebooks and LinkedIn's, and there's a lot of people that make the business itself pretty complicated, and they do that on purpose, right? But what I want to do is I want to break down the simplicity of how to really get started in Airbnb. This video is going to be for you. But if you have Airbnbs already and you're looking for just a few tips, tricks, and strategies of how to advance, this will be for you as well. So let's get right into it. The first thing, if you're beginning in Airbnb, the first thing you want to do is you got to make a decision. Do I want to be in this business? You see, there's a lot of hype on social media where you see all these people that are making millions of dollars, or they claim they're making millions of dollars from Airbnbs, right? I'm a 20-year-old 7-figure Airbnb. And although that may be true, I can't knock it either way, and I'm not going to knock the hustle, but I am going to tell you that it's probably unlikely. Okay, this is a business and it takes time to run a business. And so what I want to share with you is just the framework that you need, the expectations you need getting into this business, because I will say this up front, and I'm probably unlike any other Airbnb coach you've ever watched before. So pay attention. Most people in Airbnb fail. And here's why. There's no requirements to get involved. You can be an Airbnb host. You don't have to have a job, you don't have to have a career, you don't have to have a license, you don't have to have paperwork, you don't have to have a degree, you don't even have to have a high school degree. All you have to say is, I want to be an Airbnb host, and you're in. As long as you have a heart, you can be an Airbnb host. The problem with that is because everybody in the world, mother, brother, sister, cousin, Uncle Joe, can get in, more people are going to fail. Now, here's the 2 reasons why most people fail. And I'm setting your expectations in this video so that you know what to do moving forward. Number 1, you fail because you don't understand property research and market research, okay? 2 biggest things. You get the first property wrong, you are dead in the water, because why would you want to scale to property 1, property 2, property 3 if the first one is failing? Nobody wants to continue to fail. But if you get that first property right, then guess what? You'll want to go to number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Am I right or right? Number 2, getting a landlord to say yes. Now I'm talking about rental arbitrage here. This is a very hot market where a lot of people are getting into rental arbitrage because of the simplicity and the capital needed to get into it. It's very low barrier of entry. Okay, so but you have to get the landlord's permission. And all rental arbitrage is, in Airbnb, is we're gonna rent a place, we're gonna get the landlord's permission to rent the property on Airbnb and other platforms. That's it. Don't overcomplicate this business. The media, social media specifically, tries to overcomplicate the business. All you're doing is you're renting a place from a landlord and getting them based on an addendum to the contract to say, yes, it's okay to take my property and put it on social media platforms. Simple, right? Okay, but here's why most people fail. Because property research, okay, understanding why people are coming into that property. Is it new? Is it old? Is it outdated? Does it have grandma's pictures? What does the property inside look like? What people are coming in to stay, they don't want old, outdated, antiquated stuff. They want new appliances, they want new furniture, they want to feel like they are in a hotel, right? A newer look. And also, they want to feel like they're in a hotel. Blackout curtains, white sheets, white comforter. Mimic a hotel and you will do well in Airbnb. Okay. So if you don't understand property and market research, and now when I talk about market research, what I'm talking about is the county, the city. Why are people coming into your city? Okay, there's 4 H's that I always look for when I'm looking to do property research. And in Airbnb, if you do these 4 things, you should get a good area in Airbnb. And that is, I'm looking for hotels. Hotels already did a lot of due diligence and research to go, this is a place where a hotel could be, right? So if they already did the work for you, why go somewhere away from a hotel? Number 2, hills. People like to ski, people like the mountain. If you can place an Airbnb, when I say place it, just find a rental that's by a hotel or by hills. People like to ski and mountain and hike, okay? Next thing I'm looking for is hospitals. Hospitals is where you can get traveling nurses and doctors and chiropractors. You can also get the families that want to be close to their loved ones while they're going through surgery. It's a great place. That's where most of my portfolio is, next to hotels and hospitals, okay? And lastly, if you find a property that is by a lake, by a river, by an ocean, by a pond, as long as it has water, I call it H2O, that's the other H, you are in what we call a great property and market research area, okay? So with that being said, that's the first thing. Number two is we gotta get a landlord to say yes. And without credibility, this is very difficult for people because you're calling a landlord saying, hey, can I put your property on Airbnb? We're not a traditional tenant, guys. A traditional tenant just comes in, pays rent, they live there the whole time. We don't live there, okay? We're gonna welcome in short-term guests. Sometimes they stay for a couple weeks and sometimes they stay for a couple months. But you gotta be able to convince a landlord with negotiation skills to be able to go, hey, Mr. Landlord, can I use your property as a business? Okay, and this is where most people fail because they don't have the credibility of a unit or two or three or five or 10 to go, hey, contact this landlord to make sure I'm paying my payments on time. Contact the landlord to make sure everything's going good, I'm not tearing the place down. You don't have that. It's the chicken before the egg. So how do you get involved if you don't have that? You connect with people who already have that, okay? You would connect with me and I already have that credibility and I can help you get into a deal much faster, okay? So that's kind of the beginner. The expectations is, do I want to get into Airbnb business, okay, without overcomplicating? As long as I learn market research, property research, I know what I'm doing, okay? And if I can get the landlord to say yes, you're in the music, all right? Now, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're going to want to get an LLC. The reason for that is because we want to protect ourselves and our family from future lawsuits. What you don't want to do is get sued because someone slips, falls, kills themselves in an Airbnb. Now they're going to sue Airbnb, but they can also come after you personally. So what we want to do is we want to protect ourselves from this occurrence. The way to do that is to get an LLC. A lot of people are getting LLC in Wyoming because it is a state of anonymity, which means your name will not show up in public record. Okay? And so that's a great one to start with. Also, Delaware is a good one. A lot of people like Las Vegas, okay? And so these are a couple different states, but Wyoming has been a big bug lately. It's been this buzz where everybody's getting it because the name is not shown there, just the company name, okay? So we want to get an LLC. The second thing we want to do is we want to Google this term right here. Top 25 states to start a vacation rental business in 2023. When you do that, AirDNA did a blog and they took the top 25 states across America, okay? They took the top 25 cities in that state and said, across hundreds of thousands of cities, these are the top 25 cities where you should start an Airbnb business. They've done the research for you. They've done the marketing for you. Do not do a property unless you're like in California, you're like, I don't want to travel that far. But that doesn't matter. You can run this business from a cell phone. You can be in Japan and have an Airbnb. So, but I think a lot of people get stuck with, what if it's outside of my neighborhood? It doesn't have to be in your neighborhood. If you learn how to automate a business in Airbnb, you can do it right from your cell phone. Okay, you just need a few things. And I'll share with you other videos of how to do this. But the reality is this, guys, you got to start thinking about, if I'm going to start an Airbnb business, why don't I pick a city that's already vetted? Due diligence is done. Okay, they check out to make sure the zone is good. They check out to make sure it's a profitable area. They check out to make sure all these factors are good. That's why they picked the top 25 cities for you to start with. Okay, it saved you a lot of time in market research. Okay, now that we know what we need to do to get started, LLC, Google that, and then all you're gonna do is take one of the cities that's closest to you inside that list and say, okay, let's put that into Zillow. Okay, when you go into Zillow, you put the city in there and you're gonna hit for rent. This is going to pull up the cities that you basically selected, and it's gonna pull up all the rentals in that city. On the right-hand side, on the top, you're gonna filter by more, and then you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna put 12 months or more listed on Zillow. Why? Because the longer the property's been listed on Zillow, the more likely a landlord is to do a deal and have concessions for you. If you call a landlord who hasn't rented a property in 6 months, they're very likely to go, okay, cool, let's do some business. So the newer ones that just got listed are less likely to be open-minded because they just listed it. People that have a property for 180 days and the property hasn't been rented yet, Okay, now we're talking, because we can then go to the landlord and say, here's our model, here's what we do. We love your property. You'll never have to worry about eviction. Okay, we have traveling nurses, doctors, chiropractors, professional relocators, people with floods, people with fires. Okay, sometimes we're on Airbnb, XYZ, but we use Furnish Finder. Okay, and we welcome in guests. We're gonna make sure your property stays in premier condition. In fact, for sale condition, it's gonna be in better condition when we leave than it is right now. We have professional cleaners that come in once a week. We have handymans that come in. Anything under $500, we're gonna go ahead and take care of ourselves in repairs, okay? We love your property, we'd love to rent it. In fact, we'll actually do a 2-year lease on it instead of a 1-year lease, but I will ask you for at least 4 weeks of free rent so I can get it ready if it's not furnished. Okay, do we have a deal? And so while we have our pitch right there, okay, you're gonna find the properties in Zillow. I recommend starting with a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom as your first place, okay? And then we can move to, and I say single family. This is a big mistake. A lot of you guys are selecting properties that are apartments, condos, right? Don't start with those. Start your first place with a single family house, okay? Detached. Not like a condo that's just a purchase of an apartment, and not townhouses that are connected. You don't want to be as close as possible with neighbors yet until you get the feel of the business. Then we can do corporate leasing, and we can go to apartments and we can pitch them with corporate leasing, okay? That's what I do. Now, that is a more intermediate strategy, okay? The first thing you have to do is make a decision, get an LLC, Google that quote that I told you, find the properties on Zillow, and then you're in the music, okay? Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take my script, okay? And I want you to copy it, and I want you to send people a message on Zillow. You'll see a box where it can say send message, send question, take my script, copy it there, and then what's gonna happen is landlords are gonna start reaching out to you saying, hey, let's do business, okay? And that's how the process starts. Don't overcomplicate. I'm trying to keep this as easy as pie. More of an intermediate and expert strategy, but once we have our units, how do we increase occupancy? There's a couple things you can do to increase occupancy, and that is understanding dynamic pricing. If you're priced too low, you'll get higher occupancy. And if you're at 100% occupancy, that means your prices are too low. So you want to be in that sweet spot between 75 and 85% occupancy across the board. That means that you're priced at the right price. In fact, that actually means that you're gonna make more there than you would if you're 100% occupancy, because your prices are lower. Okay, I always do a accent wall behind the master bedroom, okay, behind the bed. I also would always put kings in there, because it's one strategy that if you put a king bed in your property, it's not an amenity you can actually list in Airbnb. And so by having that, it's actually gonna drive up people, and you put it right there in the title. You put, Helen, Georgia, king bed, 4 TVs / hot tub, whatever, right? You're gonna use SEO to get more bookings, to get more clicks, okay? So Airbnb is an interest algorithm. What that means is all they care about is more clicks and people looking at your property. The way that people are gonna look at your property is that if you have a lot of photos, okay? There's another hack for an advanced tactic. The more photos you have, the longer somebody's gonna click on your listing and stay longer going through the photos. Airbnb sees that, they're staying longer, and they're like, okay, cool, people like this listing. And so I always put TVs in each bedroom. I do a Keurig machine for coffee. I always do decaf. 1/3 of America actually prefers decaf tea and coffee as opposed to just coffee. Okay, we put an e-lock on the front door. You get the e-lock that has the camera and the punch code, okay? And you wanna make sure that the property itself has what they call a minute, M-I-N-U-T, no E at the end, okay? They make a noise monitor. That's the name of it, minute. Okay, take the E off. The reason for it is because the less complaints you have, the more likely your business is gonna be secured, okay? You get a lot of complaints and you got a lot of Karens knocking on the door talking about complaint, they're gonna go to the HOA, they're gonna go to the city, and your business is gonna be shut down, especially if you don't understand the zoning. Which brings me to the next point. You guys go through this entire process and don't check the zoning. What happens is property's gonna be you'll get it listed for 4 or 6 months, and then you're gonna get complaints, and then the city's gonna come shut you down or fine you. Okay, we don't wanna do that. So we wanna check with the city zoning. All you do is call the zoning department in that city and say, hey, I am looking to invest in a vacation rental property. Am I in an area that's that I can just require a license, or what do I need to do to be able to operate this business? Get the answer, and then you have a property that is legally put into an area that you're not gonna be shut down a couple months later because you went around zoning. all right? And these guys are just some of the small tips. I'm giving you some of the bare minimum tips, tricks, and strategies I teach my students in order to get higher occupancy, okay? This is in order to get better listings, the properties that I'm looking for. And when it comes to checking the prices, AirDNA is a decent one. Okay, a lot of people know about it, airdna.co. If you go there, you'll be able to take the property address that you found on Zillow that you really like, okay, 1 or 2 bedroom, for example, $1,500 a month. Take that address and put it into airdna.co. And what you'll be able to do from there is you'll be able to actually calculate what competition is doing in your area. So AirDNA takes basically a 2-mile radius and looks at all the Airbnbs in the area and says, this is what they are doing. It'll tell you the approximate gross revenue, okay, in the top right corner. You're gonna go to a place called Rentalizer section when you log into AirDNA. And on that section right there, that's where you're gonna put the address. Then when you get there, at the top right corner, you're gonna see a part that says Rentalizer estimate for the year. Okay, that number right there is what you wanna divide by 12. When you divide that number by 12, it's going to give you the gross monthly revenue. Now you have to remove your hard costs, which are rent payment and utilities. Utilities, I factor about $300 a month and then take out your rent payment. And the rest is a projection, not a guarantee, but a projection of what you could make on a monthly basis. So if you do that and you take out the rent and utilities and there's no money left over, it's not a good property. Okay, but what I'm doing with my students is I'm helping them look for what they call a double. So it means if rent's $1,500, I'm looking to do the data, the financial data on AirDNA to say, okay, can this property bring in, if it's a $1,500 rent, can a property bring in $3,000 a month from the guests on average? Then we know it's a good property. And that's what I do. I help you mitigate the risks to make sure that not only do you find a good property that is profitable, but you're in a great area. The property itself is something that people like because it's around the 4 H's. And that as long as you're listening to what I'm teaching you on these videos, that's why I do these free videos for you guys, so that you can learn, that you can implement some of the tips, tricks, and strategies so that you can be a successful Airbnb host and not be like the rest of people who are actually failing. Most people fail because they don't know what they're doing, okay? When I'm coaching people, I'm diving deep and I'm going, here's what you need to do, here's the step-by-step. I can hold your hand through the process all the way through. Because once we get that first property up and running, my friends, and it's profitable, then you're gonna be like, let's go to property number 2, let's go to 5, let's go to 10, let's go to 50. But if that first one is not working, you can forget wanting to go to another property because nobody wants to lose money every single month. And if you're losing on the first one, you're certainly not gonna wanna scale. So my job is, again, to make sure I help you so you don't fail, that you pick the right property, mitigate that risk there of losing your assets, okay? But again, this is the most important part. We're not owning any property here. All we're doing is renting a place, getting the permission from a landlord, putting it on Airbnb the right way with the right titles, the right pictures, the right amount of pictures, so that way we can get the SEO in Airbnb to say, okay, show this to more people. Because if you can get on the first page, it's game over. That's what the holy grail of this business is to get on the first page and get a lot of 5-star reviews. If you're getting 5-star reviews, you're gonna be pushed to the front page. Okay, if people are looking at your property a lot, you're getting put on the first page. That's the kicker for this business. Because if you're on the first page, it's being seen more, and that ultimately fills your occupancy level up. My name is Mike, Investor Mike from Airbnb Blueprint. Guys, down below, you'll see my script inside the description box. You'll also see, if you want to work with me directly, you'll see that. And if you are interested in joining my free training, you'll see the link under there as well. It's going to be a masterclass that everybody's been waiting for all year. It's going to be amazing. I want to see each and every one of you guys there. So if you want one-on-one, see that down there. If you want to join the master group with free training with everybody, you'll see that there. And you'll also see the script that I promised you guys, where you can just copy and paste that into Zillow, and you can get landlords to come back and say, hey, let's talk. But remember, let's talk doesn't mean let's do a deal. Let's talk means you got to show credibility. And if you don't have a deal, let me help you through that process. I'll see you guys on the other side. Let's roll.